If you are an educator or someone who works with students in an educational setting, I believe that one of the top 3 decisions you need to make is to keep your sanity intact. I mean, let's face it, between all of the activities, interactions, expectations, and demands that are placed upon you in your work life, you need to make sure that your sanity is being protected. So in today's video, I am sharing 6 tips or practices that you can implement that will help you protect your sanity during the school year. Coming up next. Hey, teacher friends, my name is Michelle Holliday. I am a behavior strategist and I help teachers, schools, districts, and youth organizations with strategies and systems to help them manage their students and learning environments with less stress and less struggle. And in today's video, I am sharing some tips or practices that you can use that will help you to protect your sanity in the classroom. About 4 years into my teaching career, I made a quality decision that whenever I left the school system, I would leave with my sanity intact. So I began to develop some practices that would actually help me achieve that goal. And I am sharing some of those with you today. Each one of these strategies are simple and I believe easy to implement. But remember, I like to say, don't despise the simple for being ineffective. A lot of times, the simpler it is, the more effective it can be. So let's get started with practice number 1. Practice number 1, count to 5. Now, I know we teach our students to do this, but guess what? A lot of us need to be doing it ourselves in the midst of a challenging situation. So for example, when I've been disrespected by a student, when a student talks back to me, when I'm feeling angry and I want to lash out at my students, I will often use this practice of count to 5. So I will actually step back or walk away from the student from in the moment, maybe even mid-sentence, and slowly count to 5. This has really helped me to de-escalate and calm myself down and get some perspective. And it doesn't matter what my students think about it or how they see it. I am doing this for me, remember, to keep my sanity intact. Practice number 2, a stress walk. Now, this practice I actually got from a school that I was working at where they actually allowed students to have stress walks when they were feeling frustrated, angry, or just needed a moment. And I thought, well, if this can work for a student, why can't it work for me? The difference is I just can't take a stress walk whenever. So basically, a stress walk is a time where you designate where you will actually take a walk, whether it's in the school or outside of the school, to either take a moment, gain perspective, get some air, or just to think and reflect. This is something I practiced over the years. So it was not uncommon for people to see me walking in the hallway or maybe even walking by the playground because I just needed a moment to myself to either do some positive self-talk, to help myself hang on for the rest of the day, or to congratulate myself for a job well done. Practice number 3, mental health days. Now, I already know if you are an administrator or if you are a leader in your organization, you're not going to love this practice. But for me, mental health days help me to stay in the school system for years. So mental health days are usually an extra day or 2 that I take off from the school year in order just to get a break from all the pressures of teacher life. Because there are some moments in your career where you just need to sit down, lay down, and rest your nerves, and the weekends are just not getting it. Now, one thing that I always did is I was wise with my mental health days, meaning I did not use all of my sick days. There's just certain times in my career where I felt like, you know what, this is getting to be too much. Or there are times where I'm like, I'm rethinking this whole teaching thing, and I would actually take what I call a mental health day and get some perspective and some rest. But there are definitely times in my career where I needed some days to renew, reflect, and recharge in order to come back fresh, ready to teach and engage with my students again. Practice number 4, release unrealistic expectations. Now, this one here is really a mindset practice that you're going to need to take. Because guess what? If you have not figured this out by now, as an educator, there's a lot of things that are out of our control. And I believe that knowing that a lot of times is half the battle. And what I mean by unrealistic is not that it could never happen, but in maybe the current season or environment that you're in, it's most likely not going to happen. So instead of harping on it, focusing on it, getting angry with it, letting it fuel your frustration, I have learned to release that and deal with the situation that is in front of me, using the tools that I have access to in this current moment, knowing that maybe in the future things will change, but maybe not. But just releasing that unrealistic expectation will help minimize the stress and the frustration that you are feeling on a regular basis. Practice number 5, protecting my lunch and planning. If you've seen some of my videos, if you worked with me before, you know that I am a big believer in protecting your lunch and your planning time. And based on some of the teachers that I've consulted or who have reached out to me, some of you feel like it's not an option. But everybody should get a lunch, and everyone is supposed to get a duty-free lunch. Now, how you choose to spend your lunch is up to you. What I learned to do is protect it, because yes, there are people who are going to say, can I talk to you right now? Can we meet for a moment? Do you have an available moment? Once I made the decision to protect my lunch, my response has been, right after, sure, after I take my lunch. Or not right now, I'm taking my lunch, we'll have to schedule it at a later time. Or I'd be happy to schedule it at a later time, or let's schedule it at a later time. That communicated to whoever was making the request that my lunch was important and necessary for my sanity. The other thing I protect is my planning time. I have worked in both situations, one where they told us how to use our planning time, and one we had a little bit more say. So wherever you are with it, if you can, try to protect that time. Maybe you can even speak to your administration or your team leader and says, I need time to be able to do this, this, and this for me to be effective in my classroom. Is there a way that we can work this out? And practice number 6. Laying down for 15 minutes after work. Before I started practicing this, what I used to do is when I would come home from work and I get into mommy mode or housekeeping mode or any type of activity that did not allow me to take a rest or transition to home. And for me, coming home from work and then starting another type of work was just not working. And so I made a decision to lay down for 15 minutes after I came home from work. Now I get it. Some of you are parents of young kids and you're like, and you don't have anyone at home to help. When I started doing it, I was a parent of a young child. So what I did is I had my daughter sit in my room while she was either reading a book or watching TV, and I would close my eyes and just rest my mind for 15 minutes. As she got older, it was more like, okay, mom's going to do her 15-minute relax, and I would rest for 15 minutes. That was crucial for me in maintaining my sanity because it allowed me to decompress after a school day. It was life-changing, and it helped me transition into the rest of my day. So there you have it, teacher friends, 6 practices that you can use to help you maintain your sanity during the school year. I hope these were helpful, and I will see you in the next video.